welcome back to my channel. This is episode number 3. However, it is part 2 of our discussion on some of the early signs and symptoms that we saw in Mummy when Alzheimer's was just creeping in on her. Now, one of the things we observed was that she had very vivid memory of things that just never happened. Let me give you 2 examples. Now, we had a set of encyclopedia which she owned for years. From I was a child, she had those. Somehow, 2 of the books in the set went missing. So, Mommy told me that she loaned those 2 books to a friend of mine. No, my friend had never borrowed the book from Mommy, but here's the thing. Mommy had a vivid memory. She could give me details that this individual came to the house when I wasn't there and borrowed those 2 books. She could give me the date and the time and the conversation that they had during the process of the lending of the books. And whenever these memories came to her, they would last for like a month or 2. So guess what? Every day, every other week, we would have the same story over and over. She wants her encyclopedia from this person. When am I going to get it? Imagine, your friend borrowed my books and you don't seem to be in any urgency to get them back. And so guess what? During those early stages, as I said, we didn't even know what we were dealing with. So I tried to explain to her that, Mommy, you know that so and so didn't borrow the books, and guess what happened? It caused her to get very irritable because in her mind we are saying that she's telling a lie. And it was a constant back and forth until I guess that image or that story went out of her mind. And then there was a time when she had this story about a ladder that we did not own. Now this ladder, according to Mommy, we took the ladder to church one day when we were having work day. And a particular individual at church borrowed the ladder to use at their home. Now, she could give me, as I said before, the details of the conversation about the ladder and how many times she see the person come to church using our ladder for other work days, and she would get angry and she want her ladder. And regardless of how we try to explain, one thing I can tell you, when they have these memories, it doesn't help in trying to tell them that what they're saying is not true. All it does is creates confusion for them. They get extremely irritable, and for you it is going to be very irritating, and you'll end up with a back and forth argument. So for years, Mommy had these periods when she had these memories of things and she could give us details, and they were always sounding so real. But after a while, we would just sometimes listen and try to sound supportive. Imagine, how could the person not carry it back, just try to sound as if we are supportive of the conversation, of how she was feeling. And that is one of the ways in which we were able to manage those situations when they arise. So that's my suggestion for those times when your loved ones have these experiences. Don't try to convince them that what they are saying is not true. Try to sound more supportive in your responses, and it will help to minimize the irritability. It will help to minimize their confusion, and it will also help to minimize the conflict that you may have with them. So, one of the other things we observed is that there were changes in that she was starting to repeat behaviors over and over. But guess what? Next week, we will look at some of those repetitive behaviors that she experienced. So for now, that is what I'll be sharing for this week's episode. Next week, I look forward to seeing you when we will move on to some of the other behaviors that we observed, and I'll share with you some of the things we did to help to manage those behaviors. So thank you for watching, and as usual, I'm gonna ask you to like, share, and subscribe. See you next week. Bye.